Hello, Senior Stoner fans. This is the real Senior Stoner back at you for your Aura dab of the day. Well, I've been taking the bull by the horn lately with topics. I've been really taking the serious topics and talking about them because that's what I do. I take things head on. Well, this is a topic that we dance around, but we don't focus on. How does pain affect relationships? That's right. How does pain affect relationships? Let's talk about chronic, intractable, invisible pain. How does it affect relationships? Well, there are many types of relationships. Does it affect the relationship with a friend? Depends how good the friend is. And I guess it depends how much you talk about the pain. It depends how much the pain affects you in terms of making you angry. Can you do anything? Or you're mobile. So that really affects that friendship and what you're able to do. But if you have a true friend, probably doesn't matter that you're in that chronic intractable pain, and a true friend will be there with you. What about a spouse or a significant other? Well, now the rubber does meet the road. If you have a spouse or a significant other like I do, like Mrs. Stoner, they know when you're in pain. You don't need to tell them. And what they tend to do is try to do everything for you. Stay in your chair. I'll get everything. And you end up saying, I have to go pee. I have to do it. I have to get up. They want to help you so much. The people that love us, our spouses and significant others. It's incredible. And they get it. They get it to the best point possible without having it happen to them. Because they are in our brains. They are part of us. We're part of them. So when they see us grimacing or having the pain and hunched over or whatever we are doing, they understand it. They don't feel it in their bodies, but they feel it in their minds. And all the things they do, whether it's making food, keeping us warm, tucking us in, making us feel like we're loved, kissing us, those are all the things that they do as the medicine that they can provide us to help us feel better. And I'm sure it makes them feel better too. I know that if Mrs. Stoner doesn't feel well, I try to make her feel well. It makes me feel better to make her feel well. And I'm sure that's how it works with the chronic pain people as well. Here's where it gets a little iffy. Let's talk about adult children and adolescent through teenager class / adult children. Older children, just remember how we were with our parents, tend to hear about it, say, oh my gosh, and that's the end of it. Just remember that song, The Cat's in the Cradle. Okay? That's what older children tend to do. They're not tied in as much at home. They're not tied in as much to the day-to-day. When they see you, they're certainly sympathetic and they love you and feel bad. But I don't want to say it's lost its juice when you have adult children, especially the ones that don't live with you. But since it's an invisible thing, they're so used to it from being young children in the pain, with the parent in pain. When they get to be older, they're like, okay, gee, that's a shame. And it's not that they don't care. It's not that they don't love us. This is what's happened. This is how things mature down the road. Let's go further. How about relationships with people we work with? I don't work anymore, but I did. And I did it for 30 years in invisible, chronic, intractable pain. And I did it for 20 years with 2 failed back surgeries. I did it for 5 years with fentanyl patches and morphine pills. How do you think I was at that point to deal with? So that was a real cakewalk, because when you're dealing with customers and business and things like that, you got to be fine. And if you're not fine, you got to say you're fine. And if you don't say you're fine, you better have a damn good reason why you're not fine. And they don't want to hear about your shit. You're supposed to talk about their shit. That's what sales executives do. You try to find out what their problems are and solve them. You can't be bawling about your problems. So the work relationships, even if people know what's going on, is limited. How about community relationships? Relationships in your neighborhood, school, if you're school age or college age, or continuing education. Nobody cares. Everybody says to us as we walk down to their mailbox, "Hey, Senior Stoner, how are you today? Hey, neighbor, how are you?" What's your answer? "Fine, how you doing?" You don't say, "Oh my God, I had 6 shots 3 weeks ago, 2 more shots tomorrow, a denervation a week from now, and I'm thinking of having surgery. Plus, I got athlete's foot." You don't talk like that to your neighbor. It's all, "Hello, how are you?" And it's the same way in school. "Hey, man, how are you doing? Hey, how you doing, buddy? Hey, lady, how are you?" It's all the same. You want to keep it like this. People want it like this. When it bumps like that to or a positive, no problem. When it goes like that to a negative, they run like they run like rats. Okay? The people around you. When it goes to a big negative, nobody wants to hear about it. Now let's draw back up that puzzle because it's an interesting diagram. It's a diagram like this. At the bottom of the diagram are neighbors and school people who don't give a crap. Work comes next. Okay? Your relationships that you have closer relationships come further. Then finally you're back to significant others. Significant others are the ones that are there for you. Significant others are the ones that are going to be there for you in the long haul. Significant others, even more so than brothers, sisters, and parents at an older age, can sense what's going on even if you don't tell them. So what does this mean for pain and relationships? They all know we're in pain. We can't hide it. That's the epiphany. It cannot be hidden. Second epiphany, don't try to hide it. The delta between if you try to hide your pain and it comes up later in the way they treat you, the average of everybody, how they treat you, versus if you come clean about your pain in the beginning and the pain becomes visible and how they treat you, in the end is exactly the same. You get what I'm saying to you? So if you're fearful about telling people about your pain, it doesn't matter. It's going to come out anyway. If you tell them about it early on, at least they're going to know about it because it's going to be the same at the end. They're going to know about it anyway. So we have to be truthful with ourselves and with our environment. Man, I got to tell you, on Facebook groups, I see these, people put different pictures up and things. One had a shirt that was something like, "I'm not a nice person. I'm not what I seem to be. I'm really in great pain." One of those types of things. But it basically had a smile over here and a grimace over here. And what they see, what the public sees, oftentimes is the smile. What's inside is the grimace. Look at me right now, I'm smiling, but I'm a level 8, 9 back pain. So, let's summarize. Very important. We must be attentive to our relationships when we have chronic intractable pain, especially the invisible kind. We can't take people for granted. We have to understand what it is they're hearing and seeing. They're not feeling it. Okay? That's the rub. And we just have to do the best we can. Every relationship's going to be different. This is the Real Senior Stoner. Let's take another dab. Here we go. Because the important thing here is that we have relationships. Understand? You don't want to live in a hut by yourself in chronic intractable pain. You want people to be there of all sorts. And we're going to talk more about this. But people in pain, relationships in pain, it's critical. Can't put our heads in the sand about this. Cheers. A little clogged up today. Unclog that puppy. There we are. All right, everybody. Listen, everybody, have a great day out there. And remember, this is about not just keeping our relationships, not getting our relationships, but understanding how they interact with our pain. Cheers.